Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada. Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Ganganapate Namaha. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Shri Hanumate Namaha. Om. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 18th of June 2025. I want to offer my prostrations to all the great sages and to Bhagavan residing in the heart of every single being. We are continuing to examine Ātma-Nivedanam Bhakti, and today I want to go a bit further with several concepts and ideas. You will see it on the screen here, some of my notes on this subject, and specifically the state of Ātma-Nivedanam is where we want to reach. That is the 9th Bhakti. Just as a quick reminder, the 9 forms of Bhakti are Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnuhu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Ātma-Nivedanam. These are the 9 forms, or called Navda Bhakti, leading to the 10th Bhakti, Gunatit Bhakti, that higher Bhakti beyond the 3 gunas of Maya. Alright, so at the heart of Ātma-Nivedanam, you can see it on the screen here, at the heart of Ātma-Nivedanam, which means total offering of oneself, lies the radical interior shift known as ego effacement, the dissolution of the dual possessive constructs, ahankar and mamatva. So let's look at that first sentence carefully. What is at the heart of Ātma-Nivedanam? What is the core of Ātma-Nivedanam Bhakti? Well, it has to do with dissolving from the inside out. Dissolving from the inside out the ahankar and mamatva. Ye do baate, aham or mamatva. This is the biggest issue in life. Most human beings are living through that aham mamatva space and causing a great deal of pain to themselves and to others. Dukham, what is the cause of dukh in life? That is ahankar and mamatva. So the heart of Ātma-Nivedanam, what is the core of Ātma-Nivedanam, the 9th Bhakti, is the radical interior shift known as ego effacement. Right, so let's look at these words carefully. Radical interior shift. Radical means complete, total, absolute, 100%. 100% shift from one state to another. So the state is that we are generally living in as human beings, naturally we're living in, is within the state of ahankar. The sense of I am the doer. With this body, with the senses, the sense of me, the ego, that is ahankar. These are possessive constructs. Ahankar is a possessive reality, but it's a construct because that is a word given to the reality. That's why that's called a construct. Right? So it's possessiveness, that me, I can to possess. I am and I possess so many things, particularly my vasanas, my desires, my unending wants of all kinds. That is called possessiveness. Right? So the sense of mine, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine, that is called mamatva. So ahankar is me, I am the doer, I am the one who is doing everything. So this ahankar and this mamatva are completely dissolved towards Paramatma. It's the offering of the self. So the ego effacement means the obliteration, the complete destruction of the ahankar and the mamatva. It is an interior destruction. It is an interior shift. The word shift is fine from one state to another. So from ahankar and mamatva, a shift into Ātma-Nivedanam. Now, these Sanskrit terms encapsulate the structural anatomy of ego. So look at the next sentence here. All right, let's try to understand these sentences very, very slowly and carefully. Otherwise, we will lose sight of what we're trying to get to. Both of these terms, ahankar and mamatva, they are the structural anatomy of ego. This is a very beautiful way to put that. Just like we have the anatomy of the body. When we open up an anatomy book, what do we see? We see all the parts of the body. Similarly, ahankar, which is subtle, which is in the sukshma sharira, or part of the sukshma sharira, subtle body, it has an anatomy also, but it's not a physical anatomy. It is ahankar and mamatva are the structural anatomy of the ego. And the ego is the self-construct, the self-construct. I am, organized around identity, possession, and control. So what is this ego? It has to do with identity. Let's look at some examples. I just use my own example. Somebody in the distance says Sachin, and my mind goes there immediately. Oh, they must be calling me. I'm so deeply identified with the name Sachin. No doubt, that is necessary. Functionally, Vyavarika Satyam, yes, there is necessary, but that's not real. You see, so that is just a name given by someone, in this case, the mother of this body, gave this name to this body, Sachin, and then the ego through the mind, the Atma through the mind is identified with the sound vibration, Sachin, that this is me, Sachin, constantly. I am so deeply ingrained to the point where the ahankar is developed through this constant identification with something which is false. Let's be clear about this point. There is absolutely nothing like Sachin. It's totally 100% false. But it is relatively given for the purpose of identification. Up to that point, because we live in the world of names and forms, we need to identify that this is Sachin, this is Tom, this is this. There's a name given. But that's not who I am. The problem internally, the binding internally, is that I am bound. There's a binding psychologically to the name Sachin. That is why when people take Diksha, they change the name. Again, you can be identified to that, but the name is a spiritual name. Right? So all the names of the Dikshas that are given throughout Sanatana Dharma, the name is changed. The name is changed to get rid of this false identification. That is a sadhana. Now, does that mean we have to change our name? No, we don't have to change our name. We have to change our identification. That's the difference. So I'll give you a simple example. When we are standing in front of the murti of Srimati Radharani and Bhagwan Sri Krishna Paramatma. So I'm just use them as an example. It's very easy, but any form of God and devotee you can use, no problem. Just use that as an example. We're standing, Sachin is standing in front of both murtis right there. In most temples have Radha Krishna. So what is the change in the identification? That we identify, get rid of the Sachin and the ego and the mother and the father and the family and all those things that are stashed inside as me. They're still there. We love them all. But that's totally false. There's nothing, there's no family. Kuch hai hi nahi. It's a false thing that has been created. You see, so to get rid of that, identify with Radhika ji. Even though there is family, you don't tell anybody this thing that I'm getting rid of. It's not getting rid of like that. The identification has to be removed. Just start with the name that I'm Sachin. No, I'm not Sachin. I am Atma. Main kaun hu? Main Brahma hu. Main Divya hu. This is just a name given to the body. That's not me at all. Even though that is a name given to the body for identification. The body has relationships, yes. With love and affection, we interact with everyone. But they're not really our relatives. The Atma doesn't have any relative. The Atma has no mother, has no father, has no brother, has no grandfather, has no parent, has no shish, has nothing. It is Chaitanya. It is not male or it is not female. It is not rich. It is not poor. It is not up. It is not down. It is not here, not there. It is eternally present. It is Kutastha, Achalam Dhruvam. I am that I am. I am that divinity, that alokik, that divine being that I am. This is just an identity. This is Brahma Vidya. This is Advaita Vedanta. Advaita Vedanta is teaching us this Viveka. Does that mean, please be very careful about this. This is the kind of wisdom that one has to be very careful about in the application. The application does not mean you're telling your family members, get out of my home and get out of this and I'm leaving the home and running away somewhere. That's not what it means. On the contrary, it means love only. It means Vasudeva Kutumbakam. Yes, we're living in the functional family. But when a bhakta evolves into Ātma-Nivedanam, the surrender of the ahankar at the feet of Srimati Radharani and Bhagwan Sri Krishna Paramatma, when the ahankar is surrendered at their feet, the whole world is our family. Every being is part of our family. Not just human beings. Of course, every human being. Look at the mess in the world today. These wars just keep going on and on. Why? Because the basic tenet of the Upanishad is forgotten. Vasudeva Kutumbakam. And when we forget this, problem after problem after problem across the world, at every level, from the global to the local, from the global to the national to the to the racial, to families, to court cases, to property issues, to this, to that, constantly, because of forgetting Vasudeva Kutumbakam. Ye ऋषियों की आज्ञा है. The rishis discovered this truth. And when we forget this truth, this is called agnan. It is called andhakar. It is called darkness. It is called the darkness of Maya. The binding, tremendous agnan that is there. And that is the cause of suffering. Tremendous suffering. Right? So the point here is that the identity for those who are intent on realizing the Atman and the Paramatma, one has to understand that the ahankar and mamatva, these are Sanskrit terms that encapsulate the structural anatomy of the ego, which is what the self-construct organized around identity, possession, and control. Let's look at these 3 points. Identity, possession, and control. I say I am Hindu, I am Sachin, I am Maharashtrian, I am this caste, I am this, I am this, I am. This is false. It is absolutely false. We identify by the skin color. Anytime we have to do some registration, what racial designation, Asian, Caucasian, Pacific Islander, totally false. Even though we have to do that, it is not real. It's totally 100% false. What is real is Atma Tattva. I say this is my mother. Mother, more accurate to say this is the mother of the body. Yes. Matru Devo Bhava, absolutely. With love. That is see the divinity in the mother. But now the mamatva says this is my mother, but somebody else is not my mother. Somebody else is not the mother of the body. But the Matru Shakti is present everywhere. How can we disrespect anybody in this world? To disrespect even one human being is a disrespect for all human beings. This is what is the fact of Adhyatma. To realize the Adhyatmic realization, this Ātma-Nivedanam is the total surrender at the feet of Radha and Krishna. The ahankar and the mamatva. Now, how do we do it? What is the sadhana in doing this actually? So I'll use myself as an example. I'm going to the temple, go to a home mandir, Radha and Krishna are present in front, in the form of vigraha, murti form. Now how does this work exactly? I'm standing in front with my hands folded like this. Now what? What's the next step? Well, do the darshan of Radhika ji. Radha ji ka darshan kaise karna? It's not just, of course, most people just kind of do namaskar and bow down and then they move on to something else. They don't stand even there for more than 10 seconds. See the amount of time people are standing and doing. They will stand like literally for 3 seconds as if, some big burned building is on fire somewhere and you have to go and put out that fire. It's not like aisa darshan nahi karna. That's not the way to do that. You stand in front of the murti for a good 30 minutes. Not like 1 minute or 10 seconds. 30 minutes ubare na wo murti ke aage. will not be able to do that. Start with just 3 minutes first. Even that will seem like a long time. Our mind is spinning. Manomaya Chakranidhara. Mind is spinning in 1,000 directions. Darshan, isko darshan kaise karna? How to do the darshan of the Murti? There's so much hurry. Stop the hurry. Take 2 hours out of the schedule to go to the mandir with a tremendous amount of patience. Do the namaskar and pradikshana and everything to all the deities. And then jo Ishta Devata hai, uske aage get to that point of eventually standing there or sitting in front of the Murti for half an hour. Now how to do this exactly? What is the sadhana? It's beautiful sadhana, very beautiful sadhana. So Radha and Krishna are right in front. Sachin is, let's say, Bhakta is sitting. First of all, the first absolute quality that is needed is that Bhagwan or Bhagwan ke jo Param Bhakta hai, Radhika ji, they are actually present in front of me. That is Shraddha in the Vigraha. That the Vigraha is not that God is present through the Murti only. God is present as the Murti. First point, this is the first point. Shraddhavan labate gnanam. But what is that Shraddha? If you have any Murti, Ganesh ji ki Murti hai, Shiv ji ki Murti hai, Durga Devi ki Murti hai, kisi ki bhi Murti, Bhagwan ki Murti hai, right? In one form or another. That Shraddha is that God, meaning that Param Tattva, that Par Tattva, that infinite Tattva is present here in front of me in this form, in this way, right now. Not later, right now. That is the first absolute necessary point in doing darshan. Without that, there is no darshan. Without that, kuch murti ko dekha hai hum. That's all. Some thoughts came here and there, out and back into the drowning ocean of Maya. No, that is not the way to do. See, the word darshan means to see from the tattva point of view, as a tattva. So now, let's go to the next step. Assuming that the first stage is there, that absolute conviction, Swarup Nishta, faith, Shraddha has developed through Santa Samagam, Satsang, etc., that this is Paramatma. Get rid of from the mind the feeling of stone or painting or decoration, or move all that out. Just as we're seeing an actual person who comes to visit us or we visit another person, similarly, to sit in front of the Murti or stand in front of the Murti with the absolute conviction कि ये परमात्मा है, इसमें नास्तिक भाव नहीं आना चाहिए. We'll never get to Ātma-Nivedanam until we can do these things first. Slowly, go slowly. You'll see the sadhana, one step at a time. This is the first point. And you will see some doubt comes. Doubt, how can that be God? That is a matter of Shraddha. Is to bring inside the space, in the heart, that this is Paramatma. Now the way to do that, one of the ways to do that is to put some headphones on. We're always on these phones all the time. Put some wireless headphones on and put on a nice playlist of Sri Krishna Bhagwan ki jo dhoon hai, Radhika ji ke jo bhajan hai, put them on. Ishta Devata. Put the bhajans on. And that will allow us to resonate with that Murti and develop the Shraddha, the conviction that this is Paramatma. Otherwise, if that feeling comes that this is just, somebody put some stone here, these foolish people are worshipping this stone, then you're gone. Then there's no bhakti, there's no Shraddha, then that is not a path for you. Maybe some other path is there, but not that path. You see, so this kind of doubt disappears. And then now, let's go further. With this Shraddha, now we want to do the darshan of Shri Radhika ji. How do we do that? Who is she actually? So there's a historical Radhika ji, there is a Tattvik Radhika ji, there is a Radhika ji in the Dham, in the Golok Dham, there is the metaphysical Radha ji. There's so many, you could do a whole analysis of that. But in simple language, Radha is pure, undisturbed, infinite love. undisturbed, infinite love. Think about this. That love for Sri Krishna, that is Radhika ji. So when we pray to Radha ji, we are asking for her blessings to grant us bhakti. She is the giver of bhakti. Without her, nobody can give us bhakti. Impossible. किसी की भी ताकत नहीं है, उनके पास ही जाना पड़ेगा. If you want bhakti, Radhika ji के पास जाना पड़ेगा for Krishna. If you want bhakti towards Ramchandra ji Bhagwan, Hanuman ji के पास जाना पड़ेगा. That's the way it is. जिसके पास भक्ति है वो हमको भक्ति दे सकते हैं. भगवान शंकर के पास जाना है, देवी पार्वती के पास जाना पड़ेगा. भक्त और भगवान. So now, when we are doing darshan of Radhika ji, that darshan means what? To see her from the tattva point of view, that she is the param prem tattva, para bhakti, param bhakti. Bhakti के भी बहुत stages है. There are tremendous number of stages of bhakti which we want to talk about. And like we said, Rupa Goswami in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara has written this Bhakti Rasamrut Sindhu. And we're going to look at those verses as time goes on. But this is the point, that the rasa towards Sri Krishna opens further. But that rasa comes much later. It doesn't happen just like that. And you see how the Shraddha works. That love between Radha and Krishna is what we are wanting. We are wanting to be in that loving bond. Because we love this sansar, we love this panch vishayas, we love this objects of the world. We're lost inside this and objects of the world through aham and mamatva. This aham, ahankar and mamatva, this structural anatomy of the ego, is causing tremendous damage to us only, to the buddhi nashat pranashati, to the mind, to our senses, to our antarik shakti, that internal kundalini shakti that is running through us, that has to be transmuted, has to be opened into bhakti. That Shushmana Nadi, the Nadi that is a Shushmana Nadi, that opens completely in the state of 9 forms of devotion. In scripture called Gopalanand Swamini Vato. Gopalanand Swami was a very senior saint of Maharaj, of Swaminarayan Bhagwan. उन्होंने लिखा है कि आप भक्तनी नाड़ी छे. He was a yogi, he was a master of Ashtanga Yoga. And you talked about the Shushmana Nadi, that it is the Nadi of the devotee. Meaning what? When we reach that stage of devotion where our ahankar and our mamatva is obliterated and it has turned to ash, that is where the deha bhav, the vasanas are obliterated. And in that state, the extraordinary flower of param bhakti, para bhakti, of extraordinary love opens up. The internal shakti, that is the kundalini shakti, it flowers in the form of bhakti. You don't have to worry about activating kundalini and all those things. Just stay with pure bhakti, it will open automatically whatever is to happen. You don't have to worry about it. Vachanamrut, again, Garada Pratham 25 explains this point. 2 paths, Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Shriji Maharaj explained these 2 paths. In Bhakti Yoga, all the steps are bypassed. The Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi, extremely difficult sadhanas of 8-fold yoga are bypassed. Chitta Vritti Nirodha, if the bhakti is absolutely pure. It's the purity of devotion, the purity of emotion that matters. So when we are doing darshan of Radhika ji, it is darshan in the sense of seeing her tattvic quality, that she is the incarnation of absolute love. And so that now again, to go further, what's the next step? Keep a Bhagavad Gita with you. So darshan karna hai, Radha Krishna ka, take half an hour to sit in front of the murti. Have it sit on the chair if you want. Tell somebody in the temple, give me a chair to sit here. Nobody will disturb us. Everybody will be happy to see some real devotee has come to sit and do darshan. Kaise darshan karna? So take the Gita with you. To open chapter 12. Or on the phone, you can listen. There's thousands of commentaries. Select something to listen to on the Bhakti Yoga. 20 verses are there. And listen, read the verses. Listen to some of the commentaries. There's so many apps and so many things are available. Read some of it. Then again, meditate on that. Pray to Radhika ji. It is a conversation with Radha ji. Have we ever tried this? Try it sometime and see the magic that happens. See the transformation that happens. Sit in front. Maybe at home you can do it. You can go to the temple. Mandir mein kar sakte. Kahan bhi kar sakte. You can do this anywhere. It's not like that. And when we are then reading chapter 12, look at the verses, look at the quality, and bring it inside. Bring chapter 12 of the Gita inside and ask Radhika ji and all of the great saints to bless us with that love. Have you ever done this? Try to do it. Take some steps to try to do this at least. It sounds nice, even for me, Sachin, I can say it sounds very nice to talk about this thing. It's okay. It is a matter of deliberately doing sadhana in this way, to ask Bhagavan for blessings, to ask Radhika ji for blessings, because she is the one who holds the key into Krishna Prem. Nobody else does. She's the only one who holds that key. And she's the only one who can open that door. Nobody else can open that door. Impossible. Wo door open hi nahi hoga. But when that rasa begins, that devotion begins, the entire mind-body system, it radically shifts. And this was the point. I'll just take another 2 minutes here. I really apologize for going over time. I'm trying to stick to time here. But anyway, just 2 more points here. This radical shift of identity, possession, and control, all three shift. The identity shifts into the devotional identity as a bhakta. Yeah, the name still remains. Sachin name remains. But that's just the name of the body. That's not me. I am Atman. I am Brahman. I am Akshara. I am divine. The possession changes. I am God's. Bhagwan mera hai. The control changes. I'm trying to control everything in my life, right? To control this, control that. In Ātma-Nivedanam, the control is removed from the ego, is given back to God. The ego gives the control to God, says, you are in control. Thy will be done, as the Christians say. Thy kingdom come. Bhagwan sarva karta harta. In Upasana ka pehla siddhant. The 4 parts of there in Upasana. Bhagwan ki Upasana. Sarva karta harta. Sakar sarvopari pragat pratyaksh. We talked about this maybe last year sometime a little bit. Anyway, that's another expansion of the same idea. That the possessiveness goes away. The worry, tension, fear drops. This is Ātma-Nivedanam. Now, that doesn't mean one is careless and all that. No. It means that the tensions drop and the action performed is performed keeping the purview of the sansar in mind. At the relative level, yes, this is Sachin. These things belong to me. Me and mine is there relatively. But that's all. Vyavarika Satyam. Vedanta is very clear. But we want to get to Paramarthika Satyam. So that Paramarthika Satyam is going to open by the Krupa, by the grace of Radharani. By her Krupa, by her grace, this opens up. What opens up? This bhakti opens up. And then Bhagwan is in control of our life. We don't have to worry about anything. We have to just do our duty. Karmanne vadikaraste mafaleshu kadachan. Do the duty. Take all the right steps. Recognize aham and mamatva. Because when we are functioning in aham and mamatva, we are not in pure bhakti. Absolutely not. There's our own egotistical desires are there. Our vasanas are there. They are functioning, not the will, not the divine will, not what Bhagwan Krishna has taught in chapter 12 in the Gita. That is not functioning. Our own ahankar and mamatva is functioning. But when the verses of the 12th chapter of the Gita live within us, bhakti opens up fantastically, without any deflection. Then there is the quality of our life is called divya जीवन. जीवन कैसा बनता है? दिव्य बन जाता है, अलौकिक जीवन बन जाता है, महा ज्ञान इसमें आ जाता है, महाभक्ति आ जाती है. Tremendous things happened in this. And there is just a showering and flowering. Now, please remember, this wisdom is not to be thrown on people's heads at any which time. But one final point. It is to be applied to oneself first and maybe discussed here and there if the opportunity presents itself, if that is the right context. Recognize the relative world. Most of the people are asleep in this path. Ya nisha sarvabhutanam tasyam jagrati sanyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato munehe. Right? So we'll look at this verse in more detail also. But the point is not to thrash others with this wisdom. Only for those who are really ready. Otherwise, let people, leave them alone. Bhagwan Krishna Swayam kehte, those who are attached to fruitive work in the sansar, leave them alone. Wish well for them. Do seva if you can. Don't disturb them. If you disturb them, they will disturb your path towards God. Because they are not ready for this. They have to be ready for this. And then it is possible. And not everybody can sit into that space shuttle and just go into the outer space and go into the space station. I cannot go there with my shorts and t-shirt and say, okay, just put me in the space shuttle, let me go there. It's not going to happen. I cannot reach the outer space like that. There has to be preparation for that. So until and unless there is preparation, one cannot go into that. And one should never thrash somebody with this wisdom. Only those who are ready when the time comes, carefully, with love. Maybe a few comments here and there. And let people go on. Most of the people are just going to be coming back into the sansar again. Very few. Look at verse number 3, chapter number 7 of the Bhagavad Gita. We'll talk about that too. Bhagwan Krishna Swayam kehte, Sachin is not saying anything. This is all from the scriptures. Out of the millions, somebody will try to attain. And even those who have become siddha, have mastered their mind, very few, even of the siddhas, recognize the tattva of Paramatma. Again, that's a very fascinating subject. But the point is that we cannot expect everybody in the world. No, they're on their own journey. Leave them alone. Don't disturb them. Because we don't want to be disturbed by them also. If we are trying to reach God, you cannot get distracted by anybody in this world. And by the blessings of all the Guru Paramparas, and specifically the blessings of Radhika Ji, she will protect. That is a great power, Paramatma, Haladini Shakti. She will protect the devotion, so that we can reach the Paramatma. So let's stop here for now. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurme Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada. Om Ganganapate Namaha Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwara Guru Deva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha Sarva Mangala Mangalle Shive Sarvartha Sadike Sharanyatrambake Gauri Narayani Namostute Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Mahalakshmi Rupena Samstita Namastasya 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 Namo Namaha Om Divilingaya Nama Urdulingaya Nama Anandalingaya Nama Dvadesh Jyotirlingaya Namo Namaha Om Aim Reem Kleem Chamundaye Viche Swaha Om Durge Durge Rakshini Tha Swaha Om Shri Radha Krishnar Parnamastu Om Rim Swaha. With that, we'll continue on this further tomorrow. Thank you, everybody. Namaskar.